Hello and welcome to Hexed Encountered. My name's Joe. In this video, we will be doing a bit of a gameplay here for the game Khe Sanh 68 Marines Under Siege. This is a solitaire game. It is from Decision Games and is part of their mini game series. So it is a relatively low complexity game. It comes with a really small package, essentially. It's a 11 by 17 map, and it comes in a folio, basically this size right here. This is kind of the cover card, and then you have a back card as well. If you're not familiar with these, I'm sure many of you are familiar with this particular format from Decision. They have many games in this kind of folio format. Rules, the main rules for this is part of Cold War Blitz, and the main rules for the series are just 3.5 pages long, not overly complex, and the special scenario rules or special rules for this particular entry in the series is what I really should say. It's just a couple pages, which includes some of the tables that you need, like your terrain effects chart, your battle results table, and your communist random location placement table. Here we see our initial setup. We have American and, whoops, that guy's out of place. We have American and enemy forces in various locations. It's kind of a area map, I would say, where you have connected areas with different types. The terrain key is right here. Different types of boxes. This kind of red box with wavy lines is a communist entrenchment. So you can see locations. Here's the Khe Sanh firebase. You've got the Khe Sanh village down here. Long Vey over here. Rock Quarry, Hill 861, this kind of bluish green color counter there, that is an ARVN unit. The regular green units here are American units, primarily Marines, but there are some Army units in this game as well. And then these are all enemy forces, as you might guess, from the red counter with the yellow star on it. Those are North Vietnamese Army, mainly, I believe. And they start off hidden. You kind of draw them randomly and place them in locations based on the setup rule so that you have everybody laid out. And then as you do things, you'll reveal them. And you have some air assets over here. One B-52 asset. We have a AC-47. And then we have some generic kind of airstrike counters that don't have a specific type of aircraft on it. So you could make your own assumptions based on what that might be. It could be an F-4, who knows. You've got Marine Corps transport, one unit of that. And then there's reinforcements down here. We have another ARVN unit, some more American units. We've got helicopter recon, we've got a gunship, and we got a couple more transports. So that's kind of the array of forces and the setup. And the game uses cards. So the human player, that would be the American player, or the Allied player, I guess I really should say, because the ARVNs are in this as well. So you've got cards, and you can draw whatever card out of here you want. And there's a number up here, and that corresponds with your turn track here. And somehow I got the turn counter underneath the plexi, so I'm going to have to fix that. But it starts on turn 9, and then based on what happens here, so if we played this card -1, that would actually move the turn counter down 1. Whereas some of these, maybe not any of these cards, but there are some cards that can actually add turns. And then we have the opposing forces, the Op4 cards here, that are used to kind of determine what the quote-unquote AI or just the game system itself kind of does. So I think that's enough setup here. I'm going to retrieve this counter from underneath the plexi, and then we'll get started. Okay, so the first thing we do in the turn sequence is we play a card. So I'm going to play the Operation Niagara card. So for this says all U.S. airstrikes, AC-47s and B-52s have their combat factors increased by 1 for the remainder of this turn. Disposition is remove from play, and this will be a -1. So I'm just going to set this up here. Let's fix the focus. I'm going to set the used cards up here at the top. Because at the end of the turn, once we go through the entire turn sequence, we'll add up the number up here with whatever we get from our Op4 card, which we'll play in a little bit when we get to their turn. We add up the total number and adjust our turn track accordingly. Okay, so after we play our friendly card, next is the friendly reinforcement phase. So it says place friendly units designated as reinforcements by the card. I did not play a card that has reinforcements. All this card does is increase the combat factor, the combat value of our air units. Friendly ground movement phase. I may move all friendly ground units according to the rules of movement, and I can also conduct any naval moves. All right, so before we go any further, what I should do is also talk about our victory conditions here. So the way this works, basically you have to hold Khe Sanh. If you lose it, you lose the game immediately. So that would mean if we have communist units in there and no friendly units, that would constitute the trigger to lose the game instantly. If you manage to avoid that strategic defeat, the game's played to completion and victories determined by victory points. The Allies gain and lose victory points according to the schedule, which is shown here. So here is the victory point schedule. Center that up. So if we continue to occupy Khe Sanh, we get 10. We get 3 if we can hold Lang Vei, occupy the rock quarry. Each communist entrenchment we hold or occupy will be +1. Each occupied hill is 1. Each of the occupied Route 9 spaces. And then we get 1 for eliminating communist units. We lose 2 for every one of our units killed. And we lose 1 for any air units that get killed. And then you can see the victory levels down here. Based on that, you kind of have to decide what you want to do for your ground movement phase. And I'm not sure I actually want to move any ground units just yet. Because right now we've got a couple units on Hill 861. We've got a couple units in the rock quarry. We've got a couple units at Khe Sanh at the firebase. And we have 1 unit in Lang Vei. I'm just going to hold on to that. Here are our Route 9 boxes. There are 3 of them. So those are victory condition or victory point locations as well. We get 1 point for each of these we hold. We also want to obviously hold as many hills as possible. And we have 3 hills on the map. We hold 861. We can also take 558 and 950. And each of those is worth another +1 victory point. So after the ground movement phase, which we are bypassing because we're not going to move anybody just yet, we can do the air movement phase. So we can place any available air units on the map to conduct missions. And we can also conduct airborne drops, which we are not going to actually do at the moment. So I've got all of these units here that I can use. Now, this one's a transport, but even the transport has a fire factor of 1. And what the fire factor really is the number of dice you roll. So we're going to take our B-52, and we're going to put that on, I think we will. Now, with the B-52, you can't use this in any hex or space, rather, where you have a friendly unit. It has to be a totally enemy area. So let's do 881 for that. We'll take our AC-47, and we'll send that to, we'll do that one up here, DMZ West. And we're going to take these guys, of which we have 4. And you don't have to use all of them, but I'm going to do this mostly for demonstration purposes. And we're going to hit each one of these entrenchments. We have 2 left. And I'll hit the other DMZ. And I will hit Lang Kat as well. Okay. Then we do OP4 AAA phase. So this is where our anti-aircraft for the enemy will get to fire at our aircraft. I believe what we have to do here is reveal what these units are to see if any of them are anti-aircraft units. Okay, next step is to do our air attacks. All right, so we're supposed to line them up in order of weakest firepower first. So for the enemy aircraft. So instead of putting them one on top of the other, I can just put them side by side like that. So we will be using our battle results table here. And we have air unit, bombarding, ground unit. So we need a 5 to retreat and a 6 to eliminate. and you roll the number of dice equal to the firepower. So in the case of the B-52 with a 5, you roll 5 dice. So I did get out some green dice for the American or Allied forces and some red ones for the communists. I'm going to kind of try and stick this in here, kind of unobtrusively, not knocking anything over. We're going to roll our dice here and see how many 5s and 6s we get. We got 2 5s. As far as retreats go, the player always chooses the direction of retreat, but cannot move units into a prohibited area if other spaces are open. A unit with a printed 0 is eliminated. 0 with the second number is the movement factor. This one has a 2, so he can retreat 2 spots. So basically we could say he goes 1, 2, like that, just to kind of get out of harm's way. The B-52 marker goes to the air units used, and we'll roll a die to see if it gets returned to availability next turn. And then we just repeat the process over and over again with the appropriate number of dice. Now the AC-47 is a special one. You can use that in reaction, essentially like a reaction fire, which obviously I'm not doing. I'm using it proactively. But if I had held it back and one of the opposing forces had attacked one of my areas, I could use that as essentially like close support. But in this case, I'm just using it to attack with these guys. So we're again attacking the elite unit. And that does no damage. So we remove this and put this in the used. And again, we'll have to roll for it. And they all have different ranges for whether or not they can be recycled. So the B-52 recycles on a 2 to 6, the AC-47 on a 4 to 6. So this one is a lot less likely to come back. You get basically a 1/3 chance there. Now let's do this guy up here where we get 3 dice, and they're the same, so it doesn't really matter which unit we'll do. We'll do the first one up there on top, which is the 6th. And that one gets 2 5, so another one that has to retreat 2 spaces. So in this case, he can go 1 and then go to LZ Cates or open. We'll move him to open. And again, this one goes over here, and this is an airstrike, which will be recycled on a 3 to 6. Now we'll come over here to do Lankat. And they get a 6, which is an elimination result. So this unit is eliminated, and we put it in the eliminated box. So that one was actually worthwhile. We have 2 more. We have right here with this unit. So we'll be attacking the garrison unit. And that's nothing. And then this one, same thing, garrison unit. And that is a 1 5. So he'll retreat. The only real, well, he could go this way, I guess, but we'll send him this way. Both of these come off. And that is the end of that. And that also ends the human turn, because we don't have any ground combat to do from the friendly side. So I'm going to move this out of the way again temporarily. And we go to the Op 4 card phase. So now we draw a card for them. So I shuffled these. There aren't that many. I think there are 9 of them or something. We take the top card, flip it over, and we have communist activity and a +1. So this one's going to negate the -1 of the other one, the Operation Niagara. So 1, replace 1 eliminated communist unit. And then we'll roll 1 for each unit, and a 1 to 3, move 2 spaces toward the nearest allied unit. 4 or 5, no effect. 6, move 2 spaces towards the nearest communist base. If in a base, do not move. Disposition, discard. So we're going to discard this card. So the first thing we're going to do here is replace 1 eliminated communist unit. So this guy's going to come back. Now we have to roll on this chart here to determine where he goes. So I'm going to roll 1 red die. And we got a 2. So you can see the 2. We got a 2, and a 2 is DMZ West. So he is going to go up here with these guys. Like so. And then we roll 1 die for each communist unit. So again, we're going to start. We just placed this guy, but I guess he gets to roll too. So we'll roll for that first. We got a 4. So 4 is no movement. So he stays. Now we'll do this one. And we got a 6. And a 6 is move 2 spaces toward the nearest communist base if in a base do not move. So they are in a base, actually. The stars are communist base, so they're in the DMZ West. Now we'll do our 3-2 unit here, which is the 18th. And he got a 5, which is, again, no movement. Now we'll come over here to this unit here, which is just in an open space. The green circles are jungle spaces. And he got a 5, so the 5, again, is no move, no effect. This unit on Hill 881 got a 4, which is nothing. So we're not getting a whole lot out of this. Now we'll do this garrison unit here. And he got a 6. So again, he's going to move 2 spaces towards a base. I think the nearest, well, we have 2 equidistant bases. He can go towards Laos, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3 towards the DMZ. We'll send him towards Laos. We'll go 1, 2, and he stops there. Now we'll do this guy right here. He got a 2. So a 2 is move 2 spaces toward the nearest allied unit. So we have allied units within 1 space. So I think in that case they would move into the rock quarry. Or they could move, I guess they could go 1, 2 into Khe Sanh. I think I actually screwed up. I was looking at the movement rules, and on the terrain effects chart, for effects on combat, units in entrenchments do not move. So I think this guy we moved from here, so I'm just going to put him back in there. And I think that was the only other one. I think the other one was this one that got eliminated, which went to the eliminated box and then came back and is now up here. So that one I think is fine. So I think what I'll do is I'll roll a die, and we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we got a 3. So he's going to go to the rock quarry and stop there, and we'll resolve that combat here in a moment. Now we have this guy, the garrison. We'll do him first. And he got a 4, which is no movement. Then we'll do the 3-2 here. And he got a 6, which is move 2 towards base. I guess he's going to move and leave the entrenchment. 1. Well, let me see. What's the closest? 1, 2, 3. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or 1, 2, 3, 4. He should go this way. 1, 2. We got this one up here. That is a 2. And a 2 is move 2 spaces toward the nearest allied unit. So that would be this way and then here to Kate's. Now we'll do this guy right here. He got a, actually he was up here in the base, so we're going to start him up there. Because he did move as well, I'm pretty sure. Now he got a 3, which is also move 2 spaces towards the nearest unit, so he'll go there. I think we can still do it with these guys as well, so we'll do the unrevealed. He got a 2. So that would also be moved toward a US unit. So we'll go 1, 2. And we'll check this one. They got a 1. So that would be 1, 2. We'll do these guys. There are 3 in Laos. So let's see. We'll do this first one here first. We get a 2. So the closest US unit is probably going to be this way. 1, yep, right here to Lang Vei. So he's going to attack there. And then this one here gets a 4. That's nothing. And this guy right here is the last one. So we'll see where he goes. And he gets a 3, which is also moved towards the US. So he's going to go right there. This guy stays put. And now we're done with the movement phase, and we go to combat phase. So combat phase, if Op4 units are in any space containing friendly units, you must use them to attack. All right, so let's do this attack first. So he's going to attack the armored unit, which has the lower of the combat factors. Okay, so for ground combat, we have to first determine who has tactical superiority, I believe is what it's called. Yes, tactical superiority determination. Roll 1 die for the friendly side and a second for the Op4. So I'm going to roll 1 green and 1 red. If the side has elite units, which we do not, that would add 1 to the die roll. Side with the higher total gets tactical superiority. All right. So the tactical superiority goes to the Op4, goes to the communists. They had a 3. The U.S. had a 2. So we'll roll for them first. They have 2 attack factor of 2, and they get a 5 and a 2. So the 5 is a retreat result. So we will retreat our armor. So we're going to retreat our armor to Hill 558. And when you move to a hill, an armored unit has to stop, but we only had 1 retreat to do there anyway. We fixed the focus. So now I would get to fire back. Since my armor retreated, I can't use it. So I get my 4 fire factors here for my infantry unit. Oops, the 26th Marine Regiment. And we got a 6 and a 5. If you get an elimination and a retreat, you would do the elimination first. So this guy again is going to be eliminated. And then if let's say he had rolled no 5s or 6s, we would have repeated the process. We would have determined tactical superiority again and then rolled for the result. Basically, you go round by round until one side or the other has achieved sole occupancy of the space. So in that case, I think we are done with that combat. Now we have this down here where they have 2 units, one of which is an anti-aircraft unit. So that's where that anti-aircraft unit was. All right, so in this case, they have a 3 and they have 2 3s, and we have an elite here. This is an elite unit. This is an airborne unit from the 101st. So we are going to roll 1 die again for each, just like we did before, but the allies get a +1 because that's an elite unit. And we get a tie. So when you have a tie, you have to go by the terrain effects chart. Here it has a column for who wins tactical superiority, right? So we are in an allied fire base, so the allies get superiority, which is what you would expect. So the allies get to fire first. So our American unit gets to fire first. We're going to roll 2 dice. And we got a 3 and a 1, which is no effect. Allied fire, yeah. In an allied fire base, I just realized they ignore retreat results. So the armor would have stayed there. I forgot that. So there, I screwed up, but no harm, no foul. We corrected it. All right, so now they've fired. So now we have to fire for the communist forces. So we'll start with our anti-aircraft. 2 1s and a 3, so that is no effect. And now we'll roll for the 24th Regiment here. They get 2 4s and a 2, which is also no effect. So again, we roll again for tactical superiority. 1 die for each side, and the allies get a +1 on the roll. And this time, it's again a tie. So again, we go to the tiebreaker, which gives it to the U.S., or the allies rather. We roll our mean greens, and this time we get a 5, which means that one of these units has to retreat. That would be this one. So they will retreat this way, go back to this jungle space here adjacent to their base. Now they get to attack, but they only have 1 now. And this time they get a 1, a 2, and a 5. Now the 5 would normally be a retreat, but because we don't retreat from an fire base, they can't retreat. So they need to roll an elimination. So now again, we go back and we do our roll for tactical, and again we roll a tie because of the +1. So the Allied roll has consistently now been one below the Communist roll 3 times straight. So we roll 2 dice. Did I roll 3 earlier? I might have. I roll 2 dice and I get a 4 and a 1, so that's nothing. Now we roll for the Communists. And they've got what they needed. They got a 6. So that eliminates our unit here, and they now control Langvay. And that is the end of that. So now we would go to the admin phase. And here in the admin phase, you adjust the turns remaining by the sum of the card play. So we had a -1 and a +1, which equals 0. And events, there were no events. So we just remove. Oh, you know what? I just realized I forgot to apply the effects of this. I didn't give them their +1. I'm not going to go back and retroactively apply it, but that's something to keep in mind, is that you might want to make sure you actually do what the card tells you to do there, which I did not do. So let's go on to the next turn, which would be turn 8. And it starts all over again. So again, now we would have ground movement. Well, first we do our card. All right, so I am going to use the Allied buildup here. Come on now. Transfer 3 Allied units in the reinforcement pool to the staging area. Disposition reuse. It does cost us a -1 on the turn track if we use it. So what I'm going to do is, now one thing, I moved this down. I'm not actually sure that that's what I'm supposed to do. But it seems like, you do a turn and it would go down by 1 automatically, and then maybe you would apply the turns after that. I don't know that it would stay on 9. Maybe I'm wrong. If I am, someone I'm sure will tell me. But I'm going to pick 3 units to put in my reinforcement area here. And I might just do the 1st Cavalry, because I can, because they're airborne, air mobile. So we've got 3 brigades here of the 1st Cavalry, and we're going to put them in our staging area, which is up here. So I'm just going to drop these guys in here, not on their reduced side, but on their full strength side. So that is 2 and 3. This would obviously then be 1. So we got our 3. Okay. So we're going to have some reinforcements now. So now we go to the movement phase. Okay, so the thing with the first Cav is that the 3 brigades of the 1st Cavalry Division can treat the following spaces as if they had air bases for helicopter movement. So they can do basically air movement. I don't have a helicopter transport. Oh, yes, I do. It's right here. So we can use our helicopter transport here. Oh, and I forgot to roll for these as well. So let me do that first, since I didn't do that. Find out what I have air-wise. So I know for my B-52 here, let me stick this over here. Well, there's not really space. Well, there's kind of space for it, I guess. So I'm going to roll for my B-52. A 2 to 6 will recycle it. And I get a 1, so it stays in the used box. This needs a 4 to 6, and that's also a 1. I'm going to change to a different die. I don't like rolling the same thing twice. Now each of these needs a 3 to 6. 0 for 3 so far. This is off to a great start. Oh, come on, man. That's a 2. So the bad luck continues. There's some terrible rolls, man. 6, hey, good. So in the base rules, it says a 6 actually, I think, eliminates it. It can't. But the chart has a 6 on it, so I'm assuming that in this case a 6 is okay. So that's it. That's all we have. So I have one airstrike and I have my helicopter transport. So I will use, so movement wise, these guys can all move one space. So we're going to move them onto Route 9. And a Route 9 space gives me one victory point, but I'm going to move the 1st and 2nd brigades here. And I'm going to use my helicopter transport during the air movement phase, and I'll just put the marker in here for now, to move this guy somewhere else. We're gonna attack somebody somewhere. Maybe we'll go here, or maybe we'll take this open entrenchment. One or the other. So what else do we want to do movement-wise? Maybe we should take somebody out of the rock quarry, like this guy, and move him in here and take that. And then we'll move him here and see if we can take this. So we'll do that. And he's here by himself now. Maybe I'll airlift the 1st brigade, or 3rd brigade rather, and stick them here on 689. Other movement, I don't really have a ton here. I've got these 2 units that I really don't want to move. They're playing defense there. So I think that's all I'm going to do for ground movement. Now we do friendly air movement, so we're going to use our helicopter transport. Put him in here. Now their air AAA is down here. So we're going to drop this guy right here. And then we go to the AAA phase, which they don't have any. And friendly air attack phase. So I can use my airstrike again, and maybe I will. And let's attack here and see if we can take this guy out. Now they can't retreat from that spot, but I might be able to do some damage there. So they don't have any aircraft there. So we're just going to roll 3 dice. Just going to pick up 3 dice here. And roll them, and we get 1-5, which would be a retreat, but the communist forces don't retreat from that spot, so put him back in there. Then we go to the ground combat phase, and the only ground combat we have is right here. So again, we have our armor, and we're going to attack this garrison, and we got a 6. So with the 6, that eliminates this guy. And we now have taken that entrenchment. Just one. The multiples are Khe Sanh is worth 10. Langvei and Rock Quarry are 3 each. And then everything else, the hills, they're all 1. That was the only ground combat we had. So now we draw our Op4 card. So we'll take the card off the top. This is our card, Communist Probe Khe Sanh. Replace 1 eliminated communist unit, and all communist units adjacent to Khe Sanh, firebase, or rock quarry must move into those spaces. Well, guess what? They don't have any, but we need to place 1 unit. So let's roll a die to see which. We'll go 50-50. If it's we'll go odd. If it's odd, it's the 2-2. 29th Regiment. If it's even, it'll be the garrison unit. No, it doesn't say. So I said even, right? So that's this guy. Now let's roll to see where he goes. And he goes to, we rolled a 5. Rolled a 5. This is entrenchment 689. So he goes here, and we have reaction combat. So we have reaction combat here. Now we'll roll 1 die for each side. And this time the U.S. again has, well, actually, yeah, it's not a tie, so we don't have to use the chart. So here in a communist entrenchment, they ignore retreat results. But since the U.S. has tactical superiority, they get to go first. We're going to roll 4 dice and hope that we can roll a 6. And we got a 6 and 2 5s and a 2. So that eliminates this guy again. So he's going back to the eliminated box, and they go there. Oh, one unit is also replaced each Op 4 replacement phase. Reinforcement phase. I missed that. So this guy would actually come back as well. So let's roll for his. This guy's coming back too. Let's roll for where he goes. Rolled a 2. A 2 is DMZ West, which is up here. They're getting packed in pretty tightly up there. Okay, so all communist units adjacent to Khe Sanh Firebase or Rock Quarry must move into those spaces. They don't have anybody adjacent. Nobody here or here. And then we had these two, but they're both occupied by American units. So I think that is the end of that. And so that would be the Op 4 card phase, the reinforcement phase. I already did that. Movement phase, if an Op 4 card calls for units to move, you must move all units. There's none of that. Therefore, there'll be no combat. So we go to the admin phase. So now this time we got a -1 and a 0. So we're going to subtract 1 turn, leaving us at 7. All right. So now we would go back and repeat the process again. I think you've probably got the feel for how the game works. I will do one more turn just to kind of show maybe a little bit more. Looking at my cards right now. Oh, let me roll for my air units here while I'm thinking about it. So we'll roll for our B-52. Here, we'll put this here. It makes a shadow because of where the light is, but so that's a 4. So he's back, thankfully. Now we need the helicopter transport is a 3 to 6, so we'll do that next. And that's a 2, so he stays. The AC-47 we know needs a 4, 5, or 6. Got a 5, so he comes back to being available. Now we've got 4 of these. Each one of those needs a 3, 4, 5, or 6. That one is good, so we've got good rolls this time. That one is also good. I should have just rolled all these together. Here, I'm going to roll 2 dice at once. And neither one, one of those worked. So 1 stays and 1 goes. So we've got some airstrike power again, so that's nice. Maybe we had bad weather there in that last turn. The time scale for each turn is kind of indeterminate or indiscriminate. Undetermined, I guess, maybe, in this game, if I remember correctly. All right, so we're going to draw our card. I'm going to play Operation Prairie Fire. So here's Operation Prairie Fire. So we're going to roll a dice, roll 1 die. If 1 or 2, we select 1 space in or connected to Laos containing communist units and eliminate 1. 3, 4 will give us 2 extra turns. 5, 6, no effect. And this gets removed from play, and it is a -1. So let's put this in here. We're going to roll 1 die. We got a 4, which is gain 2 turns, which isn't what I wanted, but I'll take it. And that gets removed from, I need to leave this here, so I'll remember to subtract a turn at the end here. So now we do ground movement. So I am again going to move one of my units here down Route 9. Anybody else I want to move? I'm thinking no. I'm thinking I might want to play defense this turn. But so we'll move on to our air movement. Let's hit this hex with our B-52. Or maybe we should hit this one. Let's hit this one with our B-52. And here's why. This isn't AAA unit, so an anti-aircraft artillery unit. The B-52 is impervious to it because of how high they fly. So I get a 5 attack here, and I'm going to attack. Actually, I have to attack this one, don't I? That won't work. I'm still going to attack here and maybe knock this out, and then I can go after that again if I can recycle my B-52. So I am doing that. I'm going to keep my AC-47 and use it in reaction if I need to, but that gives me these 3 guys to use. So we'll hit Langvey, we'll hit 881, and we're going to hit Kate's. All right. So now this one would normally we'd have to resolve our anti-aircraft fire, but because they can't attack the B-52, we don't have to. We do, however, get 5 dice to roll here. So let's do this. Let's pull this one out. And look at that, 2 6s, so you can only attack 1 unit. Multiple eliminations just don't really get applied, so that garrison goes away. It goes there. We put this guy back in the used box. Now we'll do this one. We'll roll 3 dice. And we got a 6 and 2 5s. So the 6 again. I'm getting good rolls right now. And he goes in here. Like so. Now we've got this one and this one to resolve. We'll start here. We're rolling against the elite unit. Well, that one kind of bounced weird, but even if I don't count it, this one would do the trick. I need to keep these dice. They're on fire right now. All right, this one goes in here, and this guy is alone now. Now we got this one over here to do. And we got, it's the same roll. How does that happen? All right, I'm not questioning fate here. I'll take the luck. I need to go to Vegas or something with rolls like these. And let's put this in here. And that is the end of that. I am done with combat. We don't have any ground combat to resolve because I didn't move any of my ground units into areas with the North Vietnamese or the VC or whatever they may be. I'm pretty sure these are all NVA units, to be honest. So now we go to the Op 4 card phase. So we draw their card. And this is Lang Vei. If communist units currently occupy Lang Vei, lose 2 turns. They do. If communist units do not occupy Lang Vei, then in reaction phase, all communist units in Laos move 2 spaces toward Lang Vei. Well, they do. Actually, they don't. They don't. All units in Laos move 2 spaces toward Lang Vei. So that would be in the reaction phase. Was I supposed to draw this earlier? I guess it doesn't matter because I didn't do anything there, but we're just going to move him here. So we have a unit in Lang Vei now, so they're occupying that again because 1, 2 can get them there. So the question mark here has a variable effect. So if the communist units had currently occupied Lang Vei, then it would be a -2. Since they don't, it's basically a 0 because it doesn't say anything about adjusting the turn track any other way. So we're going to end up with a -1 there in that turn. And that is the end of the turn. So we go to the admin phase. So it goes down by 1, and then I would I've been playing it that you lose a turn no matter what. And so that would be an additional -1. Otherwise, I think the game could kind of just go on forever. So that would be the end of the admin phase there. And then we would go back and just start over. So again, I feel like probably have an idea how the game works. I'm not sure I need to belabor the point too much. Based on how viewership tends to drop off after a certain amount of time, I think I'm going to end the video here. If you have questions, comments, corrections, etc., please feel free to post them up, and I will take them into account for future plays, as well as they'll be up there to for other people to see, so that they don't go based on any mistakes I might have made. So that is going to do it. As always, thank you for watching. Please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, etc. if you are a subscriber. Thank you very much. Even if you throw me a like, I also appreciate that, and I'll give you a thank you very much for that as well. So for now, that's going to do it. My name's Joe. This has been Hexed Encountered. And until next time, as always, happy gaming.